Generally speaking, video editing software makers have to find a balance between the reality of what a computer needs to accomplish video editing and what is acceptable from a marketing point of view. If they honestly publish the perfect computer setup for you to be able to use their editing programs at their peak, you might give up before you get started. And from their point of view, before they make a sale. On the other hand, they still have to provide some sort of suggestion to ensure that their software does not persistently crash on your computer system. In this video, I'm going to go over a few points to watch out for when trying to work out if your computer can realistically handle video editing, or alternatively whether a particular video editing software program is right for you and your computer setup. Hard drive space. With the evolution of highly compressed video formats like HDV and AVC HD, you may perhaps think that accessible open space on the hard drive would be of less importance these days. In point of fact, the real scenario is the reverse of this. When you consider that video editing puts a vast workload on your computer's resources, the handling of internal information by the computer system is subjected to exceptional strain. One technique by which the system may lower the burden and inhibit data backlogs is to just slap information down on the hard disk anywhere it can. This can lead to huge amounts of information being spread out all over the hard drive, and to allow the system to do this, it needs to have a bunch of empty space. The majority of software producers suggest 100 gigabytes of hard disk space for high-definition editing and 20 gigabytes for standard definition editing. What they really mean is 100 gigabytes of hard disk with about 60 gigabytes of free contiguous space for high definition, and for standard definition 20 gigabytes of hard drive, of which 10 gigabytes is completely free and contiguous. Contiguous means uninterrupted space, not bits and pieces here and there all over the hard drive. Random access memory, RAM. The typical minimum amount of RAM listed is 512 megabytes to 1 gigabyte. And that's a figure right out of a fairy tale. 512 megabytes of memory will barely get the majority of modern computer operating systems up and running before we even look at opening the video editing software and actually doing anything. If you're editing standard definition footage on a slightly older home PC, you may get it done. Maybe. Further to that, the most common advice from the video editing software developers is for 2 gigabytes of random access memory if you're planning to be dealing with high-definition video clips. Once more, this is too low, and unless you can aggressively power down basically every other program working on your PC, you'll get persistent freezes and crashes. A good rule of thumb to get started with on this point is to check the smallest amount they provide for high-definition video editing and possibly double it. Basically get a hold of as much RAM into your computer as it will handle or is within your budget. CPU capability. You'll usually find a huge divergence here in what exactly the majority of video editing software system manufacturers will state as being a minimum requirement. Often they're quoting the processing power necessary to engage in the simplest functions the program can perform on the most basic of video file types. Typically, they will suggest a dual-core processor of some description, functioning minimally at a more or less 2 GHz, and this will carry out most regular editing activities. Just remember that if you plan to edit high-definition video, the requirement for higher processing capacity increases drastically. Video cards. Not that long ago, having RAM on board the video display card was okay to have, but generally speaking, not absolutely vital to editing itself. Its purpose was more in line with playback functions rather than editing, and in the case of processing capability, it was simply unheard of. Today, however, it's a substantially different situation. Most of the main video editing programs have now been designed to utilize not only the available RAM on the video card, but also any processing power it may offer as well. Almost no software company clearly delineates any definite guide here, but much like memory space, try to go as high as your budget will permit to be safe, and check the manufacturer's small print specifications closely. Monitor resolution. For the majority of modern video editing programs, you'll most likely need a minimum monitor resolution of 1024 by 768. This is a specification which is often overlooked until it's too late, so it's vital that you check it in your case. Most of the quality video editing software programs will not even open unless the monitor is displaying at the required resolution, and those that do will be unstable. So there you have the key attributes for most computers dealing with video editing. Keep in mind that performance while editing videos can also be due to factors other than just hardware. This is especially true when it comes to other software programs loaded or even running on your computer at the same time. One of the best ways to be sure that your computer is up to the task is to download and use a free trial of any video editing software you're interested in. For more information on choosing the best video editing software for you, go to www.myeasydata.com.